Fire, baby. Fire, baby.
This love that we feel is something epic.
Yes, you know what it is, man. Royalty Radio, www.royaltyradio.ca, www.cfiradio.com, 905-828-3447. If you're tuning in, you got the Tune In Radio app. Make sure to download that, search for the CFI Radio, and we'll be tuned in with us. Her intro to music started at a young age, and as times have changed, she's been able to finally state, I am. Why would you doubt her talent? There's no reason to. Even Beyonce has taken notice of her cover Pretty Hurts performed with her cousin Mackenzie. As she's grown, she's been able to show her inhibitions with no regret. She's a beauty, but don't chase her with any slip words, because you'll be running on empty, and she'll be responding in kind by saying, boy, this ain't the 90s. You ain't no Key Sweat, you ain't fooling nobody. With the most recent EP, stating this is me, it is a victory, and she's finally achieved it. With her team of starters behind her, we welcome the lovely Miss Haley Smalls to Royalty Radio. How you doing, my lady?
I'm good. That was a great intro. Wow.
Well, you know, it's just a little something we're trying to do, you know what I'm saying? Definitely not. But I mean, how have you been?
I've been great. I've been really good. Just working with her.
Putting in a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Now, I know people know of you, but you know, in a way too, they don't really know of you. You know, you're out there through, you know, this Pretty Hurts, you know, cover.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you that way. But in terms of yourself, who is the individual known as Miss Haley Smalls?
I mean, you know, I've been doing this for a while, a long time, since I was a kid, you know, and I've always loved music, so,
right.
You know, I just made my way, I guess, in a nutshell, you know, through just trying to find the right team, and, you know, here I am now, and the Beyonce thing was, you know, a blessing because, you know, before that I know I had, you know, certain people following my covers on YouTube and, you know, little things that I was doing, and then, you know, I had a wider variety of people able to see a little bit of what I do with the cover, and now now that I have a dope team that I work with, I was able to put out a project, so, you know, giving people a little bit more access to what and who I really represent.
Definitely. Now, in terms of, you know, your background, what's your background, and where are you from, actually? So, for those who don't know anything about you at all.
Well, I'm obviously from Toronto. Yeah, I grew up in Mississauga and made my way around the GTA, and, you know, working with people from all over here, and yeah, and I've traveled and worked, you know, abroad, and
to get it on, definitely.
My parents are, my father's from Barbados.
Okay,
so,
all right. And your mom?
My mother's Canadian. So
okay, definitely. What's your first memory of music?
My first memory of music would probably be just singing along to people like Michael Jackson and Tony Braxton and Blackstreet, and even before that, probably like The Lion King and shit.
Of course, that's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, it was a really young age, you know what I mean? So like I was just singing from before I can even remember. It was just something that was always in me. So yeah.
How influential were your parents to you?
Very influential. I think it was just something that was inside of me, but they were always playing music. They're big music lovers. They're not musicians, but you know, it was always a house full of music, you know, growing up. So I definitely was cultured with a lot of great music growing up.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. You were classically trained at one point?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through trying to find a good vocal teacher for years, and I finally found one that I, you know, connected with, and he taught classical music.
Okay.
Before that, people had tried to get me to study classical music because they told me that it was great for my voice, but I didn't want to hear it for many years because I was on my pop and R&B tip. But but you know, eventually I tried it, and it was great. It's done a lot for me as a vocalist, and it was great to expand my knowledge of music as well.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, during classical, like how does that shape, you know, the type of, when you have multiple genres that you're going to be doing? How does classical, is that like a strong base to start with, in your opinion?
It was for me, and I think that it was just in the sense of it expanded my range and my way of singing, you know what I mean? Like by culturing yourself in other types of music, sometimes just vocally it can expand, you know, what you're able to do. And before I trained vocally, I didn't have much of a higher register, which is a lot of what I use now. So it's really helped shape my sound.
Definitely. I know that sometimes based on looks, you always get compared to an artist. For you, is there any artist that they're always comparing you to?
I think nowadays I get compared to Janet Jackson.
Okay.
In terms of music, were you talking music?
In terms of music, yeah.
Okay, music, yeah.
We're talking in
But
general.
in general, yeah. If they see you for the first time, like, oh, you look like, who would you get the most?
In terms of the way that I look, I don't get a lot of comparisons anymore. I used to get Beyonce a lot.
Right.
But I don't get that anymore. And it was, it was a big compliment.
Right.
But I definitely wanted to come into my own artistry and be able to just stand out as myself. So,
Definitely.
but yeah, in terms of musically, a lot of people have said Janet Jackson, maybe just because of the tone, and Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the main ones, I guess.
For sure. Now, in terms of your first, going back to when you first started making music, what was your first song that you wrote? Do you remember?
First song that I wrote? Oh my goodness. I don't even remember.
Do you remember how old you were when you wrote it? Or when you started
First
writing?
song that I ever wrote? I think the first song I ever wrote, I was probably maybe 11 or 12, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you write?
Boys. I wrote about boys.
You were into boys at 11 and 12?
I was into boys at 11 and 12.
Like
I was
you were-
not bad though.
No.
I was gonna say.
I was not bad though.
Were you already heartbroken at 11?
Um,
Like, what type of songs are these?
you know what? I had a crush in like grade 4 or 5, and he made fun of me.
Oh.
You know, but he liked me first. But then I didn't
So
like
he
him.
liked you didn't like him.
And then he made fun of me. And
because
then,
you didn't like him.
Because I don't even remember. It was some.
There's a lot of
some
drama for 11
You know
and
what?
12.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school? I had no drama in 11 and 12, but my school still.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's all good, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, just going back to the cover a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're with your cousin Kenzie doing most of the
Yeah.
covers.
Mhm.
How was it getting her involved in the whole cover situation?
It was great. I mean, I already kind of had established my channel just from, doing my own covers for a few years. And, I had a little following, which was dope, and then, as she started to get older, I always knew that she had talent. So, through just us hanging out and stuff like that, we just decided to do a cover one day. It was literally just for fun. We never anticipated that it would have gotten the response that it did.
Which one was the first cover that you did?
Pretty Hurts.
Pretty Hurts was the first
That
one
was
you
the
did.
first one that we
Okay.
did, yeah. And it was, we loved the song, and it was kind of just an experimental thing because she'd never gotten into the studio. So,
Okay.
it was dope to get her in, and I really enjoyed working with her. And and then we got a dope response even before Beyonce posted it, which was great. I think it hit like 30,000 views in a week or two, and it was on the first page when you searched just Pretty Hurts Beyonce, which was, I guess, was probably how her and her people saw it.
Right. What did it mean to you when you got that response from Beyonce saying she liked it?
That was great. I mean, I've had a few artists shout out my covers before, that covers of their songs.
Right.
But
But Beyonce,
right?
What stops for her?
Yeah, I mean, it's Beyonce, right? So
Yeah.
you jump up and down a little higher when it's Beyonce, right?
That's very true, man. That's very true.
Yeah.
In terms of your thoughts, what are your thoughts on a cosign? A lot of times people always say they need a cosign, to get someone, they need a cosign to be bigger or better.
Well, Toronto especially, though.
Especially within Toronto. What are your thoughts on a cosign?
I think a cosign is always great. I don't knock anybody for getting a cosign. I don't knock anybody for striving to get a cosign, but I think what you really need to strive for is great music.
Right.
I think that's the main thing. And if you have, really great music, then it's easier to get a cosign, and it's easier to get just, that following by yourself.
Right.
So, I mean, if I was to get a cosign, I kind of got a cosign for the, for the cover. But if I was to get a cosign on my original work, then great. Like, it only helps because, their followers then all of a sudden get to see what you're doing, and then you get you get access to a bigger demographic of people. But but if you have great music, I honestly and truly believe that it will spread. Word of mouth will happen if your music is great. And Toronto's a hot spot right now.
Definitely, a lot of people Drake helping out the city definitely for sure.
Yeah. So.
Now, Pretty Hurts aside though, which cover is your favorite out of all the ones that you've done?
Honestly, that might be my. No, you know what's my favorite? Gust of Wind.
Gust of Wind?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my favorite. Pretty Hurts is one of my favorites too, though, because
Right.
it you know, even before the Beyonce co-sign, I loved how we were able to execute that. But I love the Gust of Wind cover. I don't know, something about it.
Definitely. Well, you know what? We're gonna be talking a bit about your album, This Is Me. But you know, we have a track playing right now, of course, in the background. Just talk to us a little bit about that. It's entitled Why Don't We?
Sure.
So talk to us about that.
Yeah. So one of the records off of This Is Me, Why Don't We? It was a cool record. You know, we first started doing records just to make music.
Right.
It wasn't sort of a thing where we were like, you know, let's do a mixtape for Haley Smalls. It wasn't one of those things. You know, Megan, my producer, put together a great team just to create music, and that's what we still do every day. You know, we just aspire to make great music, whether it goes to me or whether it goes to another artist. You know, and you know, we just decided to put some records together, and Why Don't We was one of them. We, you know, strategically tried to pick records that we thought would be a great introduction to, you know, who I am. And we do a lot of different kinds of records too, beyond what you hear on this mixtape. But you know, it was just kind of a great collective, I think, that represented who I am, and then also, you know, just introducing who I am as well. Yeah.
Definitely, man. Before we go though, just promote yourself. Let the people know what's really good.
So this is Haley Smalls, and you can follow me on IG and Twitter at Haley Small, Facebook Haley Small as well, and you can check me out on YouTube, Haley Small.
All right, definitely know what it is, man. Why don't we? Royalty Radio, we'll be back right. Yes, Royalty Radio, www.royaltyradio.ca, www.cfiradio.com, 905-828-3447, that's 905-828-3447. You got the TuneIn Radio app. Download that, search for CFRA, and you'll be tuned in with us, here with the talented and lovely Miss Haley Smalls. How you doing?
Good.
That's good. Now, you know, labels, they're always looking for the next one. Trying to find who's going to be doing the bigger things, the better things, and all of that. What's your thought process on that? What are you looking to get? You know, are labels out there interested? And if they are, what are you looking forward to getting from a label, especially in a deal?
Yeah, I think, you know, in terms of what I and my team are looking for, is we're really just looking for ultimate support, you know what I mean? Like, people have asked me what label I want to be on, and so and whatever, but you know, it just comes down to the support, right? Yeah. And I think that the only way to get that support really is to just build up yourself on your own these days, you know what I mean? Getting that leverage to be able to, you know, spark the interest of labels. I mean, the old school way was like to chase down the labels, but you can't chase down the labels no more. You know what I mean?
Your worth first and foremost.
Yeah, you have to have them chasing you, and otherwise it's just not worth it. And in this day and age too, we can do so much on our own. You know, with the internet and all of that stuff. Even just getting a studio today, I mean, you know, you can spend a lot less money today and still get a dope setup and be able to do a lot. You know what I mean? So, you know, we, you know, that's exactly what we're doing right now. We do have label interest. We do have interest from, you know, from different companies, different opportunities. But you know, we all have the same mindset in not rushing into anything and just making sure that it's right, because you know, we don't want to just, you know, take a little bit of money and then, you know, get caught up in something that's going to be very difficult to get out of and not get the support that we feel we deserve, you know?
That's very true, that's very true. Now, building a team, of course, it is very crucial to success, especially, you know, within Toronto, as many teams will form and then after a while they break apart and everything like that. You know, if you do manage to get, you know, a good team together, they don't just consist of, you know, a singer and a producer or a singer and a rapper, they consist of multiple people.
Yes.
For you, the team is the Stardust.
Yes, it is.
Talk to us about that and what they represent.
Well, first of all, shout out to my team.
Okay.
And we have a page too on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us at the Stardust.
All right.
I have some of my team here: Mega Man, Jay Keys, and Kanisha
Okay.
And yeah, we just, we represent, we just represent a team that really believes in the creation of music,
Right.
And it's not about the money for us. Like, we really, obviously, money's great.
Yeah.
And
definitely
it
a
helps.
necessity.
Yeah, and it helps,
Yeah.
it helps you live, and it helps you be able to do more of what you're doing with your music and your career, and so it's important, but it's not the driving factor for us. And I think that's like the main thing that we all have in common.
Right.
We really love music, and we come in the room and we just create. You know what I mean? And we're all very, loyal people. It's a really dope vibe. Like, we the way that our group formed
Right.
was
How
very
did it
organic. It was very organic. The way that it formed really was, I was listening to some beats that somebody was playing me some beats, and some of the beats that were played were my producer, Megaman.
Right.
And I had heard of his name around before, but
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Just a little bit. Not
Yeah.
to play it
It's like Mango.
That's nothing serious.
Nothing serious, right?
Yeah.
And so they played me a couple of his beats, and I was like, I like these.
Right.
I was in New York at the time,
Okay.
and the person I was talking to was like, he lives in Toronto,
Right.
so y'all should hook up when you get back to Toronto.
Right.
So, what ended up happening was I took one of the beats and I wrote a song to it.
Okay.
While I was in New York, and I came back and I recorded the record in my studio and
Right.
sent it, and Michael loved it. So he was like, let's set up a session. So
Right.
I met him and O Sound, which is another member of my team,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it started. And we just, the three of us started working. That was the original
The original
formation
group.
of the
Okay.
team, and then Mega had a vision of bringing writers and and really dope piano players that could help with production, and just like a workhorse of a team
Right.
that could bring all the pieces together.
Sounds like a whole orchestra.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want like 20 people, but we definitely wanted,
You want those
but like,
he really wanted to have some really dope writers and singers and artists, and just creative minded people, who could create production writing team, basically, which is
Right.
what we are. And it just started out because, Mega's signed to BMG.
Right.
And so, we were writing placements. We were trying to, get some records to some artists.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I'm an artist. We have other artists in our team as well.
Okay.
The other two artists, Khadijah and Victoria,
Okay.
they're both artists as well.
Nice.
So, we just started writing, and, through, I guess, working, we've been able to develop a really great chemistry.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, what are your thoughts on the opinion that they say, in order to make it, you have to leave Toronto and, travel elsewhere to achieve success?
Old school mentality. Old school mentality. I mean, I think it used to be that way in a sense, and I definitely remember that because I've been involved in the industry side of things from such a young age, and I remember when I would go to places like New York, or I'd go to places like LA or
Right.
Chicago or wherever, and I would say I'm from Toronto, I'm from Canada. Oh,
Right.
first of all, when I would say Toronto, some people wouldn't even know where that was.
Right.
Somebody thought Toronto was in the States.
I'm sure they have a Toronto.
I
in the
think
States.
so.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I think California.
California, I think,
Okay,
yeah,
so
probably,
that's-
probably
yeah,
somewhere in
somewhere.
somewhere in California, probably.
Yeah,
But that's not the
so-
But that's the point is, no.
The funny thing is there is no confusion now,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the difference of reactions between, then and now
Right.
is so drastic. When you go to the States now and you tell them you're from Toronto, they're ready to jump through the roof. Like that, what? You're from Toronto? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
It's a big deal now.
it is a big deal, and it's dope because, it's gonna just create so many opportunities for people now,
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Now let's get to this EP of yours, This Is Me.
Yes.
Why that title?
I think just because I've never been able to truly represent myself in the way that I really wanted to. In the sense of, I've put out covers,
Right.
but that's not a full representation of me because it's not my music.
Right.
It's my interpretation of the song,
Mhm.
it's my voice, but it's not me, and then it's not, it's not my music. And then, the little records that I've put out before was kind of still me just experimenting.
Yeah.
And I never had a team. It was just kind of, it was just me, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? And whatever producer I was working with at the time. And this is really like a body of work. I've never put out a body of work. So it was just, I couldn't think of a better way to introduce myself to people other than saying this is me, because it is, and it's, it's the first representation really of me in a full body work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So do you think this is considered like your first introduction to the industry then, opposed to anything else that you've done before?
Really and truly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. And how long did this project take?
Not long at all. Well, like I said,
You mean it took 5 minutes?
Bro. I don't think it means like, we're talking like under a year, 6 months, because some people are working on things like
it's hard.
years,
You know why
3
it's
years.
hard?
Longer. There's some people who are still like, yo, it's about to drop.
Well,
3 years later.
Realistically, our team has only been working together for about a year and a half. So,
Okay.
And is it a year and a half?
A year and more.
Yeah,
A year and change.
Yeah.
A year and change.
Okay, yeah, a year and change.
50 cents.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's hard for me to answer that question because we didn't start. Some of these records were from a time where we were not planning to put out a project. It was just,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Right.
None of these records were done specifically for a project.
Okay.
All of these records were just making music, and
Right.
we're not sure where they were gonna go. You know what I mean? Whether they were gonna go to another artist or whether they were gonna go to me,
Right.
or whether, you know what I mean? So, some of the records, like You Got What You Wanted,
Right.
was like one of the first records that we did.
Okay.
But then there's also records on there that were closer to the time that we released the mixtape. So,
Right.
but in terms of putting it together, about a month.
Okay.
And we didn't just throw best records on anything.
Yeah. And
That selection process must have been daunting, though. I mean, going through all the.
Look, you've been working on it for a while, right? So we know you've
Yeah.
been working on it for at least a year and change, because that's when they got together as a group. So I'm sure as working on it, in that month they already felt out, because I'm trying to correct that little like that little side. I'm sure they felt out what they really wanted to release already. So it was kind of like an easy selection within a month period.
it was
There you go.
it was a hard selection.
It was,
though.
I can
it
imagine.
was so difficult because we had so many records.
Right.
Like, we were choosing from over 100 records. And when I say over 100 records, I'm not talking like
Like
throwaway
like,
records.
You're talking like
No,
true,
like real
full
records that
songs.
we actually send in folders to people, like, you know what I mean? Like, not just those throwaway, okay, this is just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because we had those, but out of the over 100 records where, and that just came because our team is just very dedicated and we work like 6 to 7 days a week.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so it was hard. Like, at first we just wanted to do 10 records and that was just impossible.
Right.
It literally ended up being 15, 16, including the intro
Right.
records, because we could not choose 10.
But I think people like that now. I think people like more songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it used to be. Remember, like a record would have like a good
And quality at
tracks.
that, right?
Exactly.
Not just,
Exactly.
10, 16 songs and
People
only
are swaying
5
over to that.
Yeah.
So.
They want more content.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good body of work that you put out there for sure.
Appreciate
Now, Mega Man, he's the main man behind production. Of course, you've worked with a lot of other producers, but why Mega Man? Aside from the fact that he's in the stars, of course, but, why Mega Man?
What's funny, I have not worked with a lot of Toronto producers. Most of the producers that I worked with were in the States, and that's just because I've done a lot of work in the States, a little
Right.
more than in Toronto.
Yeah.
You know what? It was a chemistry from the beginning. It was just a chemistry, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think, and we've been able to build that in the rest of our group members, like really make sure that the ones that do come in have the same chemistry,
Yeah.
and that's what I say, it's really great, the way that it all works out, because every single one of my group members are just dope people all together, you know what I mean? But it was the chemistry, and I mean, he's an alright producer.
He's a
He does okay. He's alright. But no, it was the chemistry, and it was, it's hard to trust people in this industry, and I
Yeah.
really felt when I met him and O Sound that I felt at home, and I felt
Right.
very comfortable, and I just loved their work ethic, and it was just right from the beginning I felt comfortable.
People dismiss that
Okay.
dynamic. Well, the dynamic between an artist and a producer, how
right.
important it is.
Yeah.
and why usually the leading artist today has that one producer, even if it's somebody else's production,
Right.
is that
Yeah.
one producer that kind of like leads it.
Right.
I think everyone
People-
has that. Everyone.
I think
has that.
everyone- I
From
think
Drake to
yeah.
anyone successful.
Exactly,
Beyonce,
exactly. The
people have.
Weeknd,
Yeah.
everybody who's successful at that level has that because it's important.
It is
It's a
important.
trust factor. It's a lot
Yeah.
of vulnerability. I'm not a singer, so I don't. But
No, you're
I'm like
100%
I'm being
right.
empathetic and understanding.
No, you're 100% right. Spot on.
For sure. Now, who are some of the features on this EP?
So we don't have very many features, but we were selective. We have one of our group members, which is Victoria Giovanni, which is
Okay,
on
yeah.
When You Love Somebody.
Right.
We have Opium,
Okay.
which is on Why Would You, which is, dope singer from Toronto as well.
Right.
And we have Mr. Cardinal Official.
Okay. Definitely.
Yeah.
Good to me. For sure. Which, we're gonna get into a little bit of music right now. We're gonna just talk a little bit more about the EP right after this. Which song is playing right now, Andre?
Whatever by Haley Small. So it's like a older record, sorry.
Old
So-
school
So
record.
definitely just talk to us about whatever.
Whatever was just a record that I did years ago.
Or just whatever.
It was just whatever. No. It's cool. It was just it's just one of the many records that I did when I was trying to get things together.
Right.
And just figure out my sound. So and it creeped its way up onto YouTube, and now it's on Royalty Radio.
Yes, you know what it is, man. It's Haley Smalls in the building. Whatever. We'll be back right after this. It's Royalty.
Me and you.
Yes, Royalty Radio, you know what it is. www.royaltyradio.ca, www.cfiradio.com, 905-828-3447. If you got the TuneIn Radio app, make sure to download that. Search for CFRE. Here chilling with Miss Haley Smalls.
What up?
What's good? We're talking about the EP there. What feature is your favorite one? We have a few features on there, so which one's your favorite?
What's my favorite feature?
Yeah.
Is that politically correct?
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Everybody has a favorite. It's fair.
I'm either gonna diss Cardi,
Oh, come on.
or I'm gonna diss my team member.
See,
You know what I'm gonna say to you right now? I'm gonna tell her to just save all of them.
All of them.
All of the above.
Moving along.
You can't put her in that kind of position.
See, girls are always looking out for each other.
Right? It's alright. It's alright.
Y'all just want to get in. It's alright though. It's all good. Which song was your most challenging though? Do you think?
My most challenging song. Probably I Am.
I Am.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
What was the most challenging aspect of that one?
I had to really emotionally connect on that song.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was like it's a strong message. Not that it was hard for me to emotionally connect because it's something that I honestly go through, and I think that a lot of females go through.
Right.
But, it's the type of record that you definitely want to make sure people feel something when they hear you sing it, and you can't just sing it,
Right.
So,
Definitely have to have that emotion in there for sure.
Yeah.
How's the feedback coming so far? I know a lot of blogs are posting it. People are talking
It's
about it.
been great, honestly. Every single comment that I have gotten
Right.
has been very consistent. You know what I mean? And people have seemed to be passionately expressive about the mixtape in a positive way, which is amazing to me. And what's even better is that people have described it in the way that I would have intended for them to receive it,
Right.
which is
So they're getting the message that you wanted to get across.
Exactly.
That's good.
yeah,
That's the key thing for sure.
yeah,
Do you have any videos coming up for it?
definitely.
Which songs specifically?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
And it
Song
may
wise.
not even be a song off the mixtape. It may be a new record. Just
Really though?
Yeah.
You're gonna throw one out there.
We may throw one or two,
Well, alright. Now, what are your plans for the summer, man? Summer's almost here. Practically, it's on the
It's
doorstep.
I was just gonna say,
It's practically on the
Yeah.
doorsteps.
Honestly, we're just gonna be working. I would love to tell you some
You better
really
tell us something.
exciting.
You better tell us
Any
something.
performances?
you know what?
Promo that you have for the next day?
Yeah, definitely. As far as performances, I'm not sure yet because I would love to do some, but it has to be the right ones.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But definitely, I don't want to say anything because unless it's like 100% sure
Yeah.
thing, I don't
Yeah.
like to give.
Alright.
I don't like to say, oh well, it
I'm
might
gonna be there on
this,
that
it
date.
might-
Yeah.
But I'll keep you guys posted.
Okay.
You heard it here, man. You heard it here. Got a couple sentences for you. I want you to finish for me.
Okay.
Haley Smalls is.
Haley Smalls is a part of the future.
Okay. Okay. This is me marks.
The introduction to my career.
Okay. The starters are.
Capital letters, dope.
And you should pay attention to me because.
Because I have something to say and I have something to represent.
Definitely, man. I do want to say thank you very much for coming through the Royalty Radio.
Okay.
Before we go though, I just want you to give a quick shout out to the people, your team, your family, everybody who's listening. Who do you want to give a shout out to right now?
Yeah, shout out to my team, the Starters. Follow us at the Starters on Twitter and Instagram. Jay Keys, Khadija, Victoria Di Giovanni, Mega Man, O Sound, and did I forget anybody? Javon Stevens.
Okay.
Shout out to Toronto. What? The Six. And shout out to Royalty Radio for bringing me out. Thank you guys.
You're very welcome. Before you go, I know a lot of people, as soon as I posted it, you're like, yo, we need to hear her voice. We need to hear something. So you know what? Before you go, please grace us with something special.
Okay. How did it go again? You were supposed to tell me. You feeded it to me. Huh? Say it again. Oh yeah.
It's your track.
I was the fire, you were the flame. You took my love wherever you wanted, baby. Written in stone, all on my face. You turn your back so you don't have to take blame. I ran out a long time ago, but you didn't know that. You didn't know that. Oh, I fell apart a long time ago, but you didn't know that. You didn't know that. 'Cause you're a man, and men don't understand. 'Cause you're a man, and men don't understand.
Oh man, you know what it is? We do understand. Come on, we do understand. Okay? We are there with you. Man, but definitely once again, thank you very much for coming through. You know what, Andre? You know what? Just for the listeners out there, if you could get that track and just play it out so that people can hear it. Of course, it is on the EP. This is me, and men don't understand. Talented and lovely Miss Haley Smalls on Royalty Radio. You know what it is. Definitely want to check us out. Check us out, royaltyradio.ca. But you know what? Just promote real quick. Your team, where they can find you and all of that.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Haley Small, and my YouTube page, youtube.com/Haley Small, and follow the Starters at the Starters on Instagram and Twitter.
All right. Definitely. Thank you once again for coming through the Royalty
Thank
Radio.
you for having me.
With that said, everybody, Miss Haley Small. We'll be back right after this. It's Royalty.
You said pop that, pop